All right. Good morning. Coming to you live from my living room floor. Why? Because that's where my comic book haul is after I unloaded it last night. All right, guys. How are you doing? Good morning. Welcome to Father's Day, June 18th, 2023. It is Eastern Standard Time, 10:46 in the morning of this show. And I returned last night, got in bed about 1 in the morning. I'm about 3.5 hours from Charlotte, at Charlotte, North Carolina, that is, Heroes Con. Did Friday, Saturday, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, okay? I'm going to spare you the story. I went over and over in my head. Do I tell the whole story? And I'm not going to. Maybe one day, right? The show itself, fantastic. Everything that I was involved in around the show, leading up to the show, a little bit during the show, went sideways. And so the biggest thing is I'm going to throw out sort of an apology to a certain extent with everything that was going on. Had a friend with health issues, drove him back to Virginia, caught a ride back down Saturday morning, 4 hours sleep, all that good stuff. So Tylox, Rod, oh my God, who else did I meet? About 4 or 5 people that I met. I dropped the ball. 2, 3 YouTubers who I've known over the years and stuff were there, found me. I was real excited, hoping to bump into people. And I met them at a point where I was just out of sorts, exhausted, already tired. So my bad, man. My bad. And yeah, that happened. They know what we're talking about. Number two, most important thing that I think I could do this morning, actually, Charleston66 out there, his YouTube channel. Apparently yesterday was his birthday. So happy birthday, brother. Y'all jump over to his channel and say happy birthday, right? And now the sweet and amazing haul. Here's my badge. My badge. Here is my wristband for the 3-day pass. I did 2 days. And I just want to do a big shout out to Josh if he's watching out there. My buddy had some health problems in the middle Friday night. I was up at 3 in the morning. About 6 o'clock, we started headed back to Virginia. When I dropped him off, Josh had called me up, decided he was going to Heroes Con, and he drove me back. I parked my car in a McDonald's, and he drove the 2 hours back. Josh, you were the superhero. I told you when you picked me up, but I was sort of being light. You are the superhero, man. So thanks for that. Now that everybody is in here, we have Comic Reader. Good morning, brother. And then John C. Great to see you, man. Good morning. Be like John C., man. And maybe Easy Comic Reader. I don't know. Like the video. Go ahead. I got great stuff to show. Subscribe if you're not there, man. And then hit that little bell so you know when I'm going to do this. I try to hit Sunday mornings, but you just never know. Something might happen during the week. Okay. Now, I got to say, man, I've done Heroes Con for years, off and on, and hitting it hard since late 90s, mid 90s, maybe, or something like that. First couple years were, it's not so much that I was into the con, is that there was less cosplay because it was still in an era where it took a lot of nerve and bravery to do that. And then it was Heroes Con is great. It's been going on since 1982 because it has always luckily stayed really comic book centered. So there's always like vendors and books and great deals. So my head, a lot of the times, and I missing a lot of great comic book pros, but what are you going to do? I made up for it probably since about 2009 or something, right? But my head was always in there in the boxes, getting in there, getting out, hitting Sunday, getting great deals. And then around 2001, I met Joe Sennett, Nick Cardy, Roy Thomas, started getting out there a little bit. But I hit it hard thanks to YouTube and talking to YouTube friends over the years and getting books signed and stuff to where I really got to meet a lot of great people over the years and take pictures. And that's cool, man. So this was my first time back in 5 years, which blew my mind thanks to all sorts of things going on and the con not going on for 2 of those years. And I got to say, man, the Friday crowd was very small, and it felt like a different crowd. It really did, and I think I was right. It was just different. I'm like, oh man, are times changing? And some attitudes I weren't used to seeing probably of the times were there. But then when I made it back on Saturday, I think I got there about noon on Saturday, between 11:30 and noon. it was Heroes Con. Okay, it was just a different crowd on Friday, Saturday, full blown Heroes Con. Lots of people, lots of great cosplay. Hit me up on Instagram under Howler Mouse. I posted some pictures of my books. I got to check and see if I put my cosplay, some of the cosplay I saw there. The cosplay was fantastic this year. Guy that stole the show was I think he was about an 8 to 9 foot apocalypse, and he stayed in character with a little bit of humor and stuff. There'll be pictures of him, just some great stuff. And I found 50-cent boxes. I found dollar boxes. I went in with a plan to where I was going to buy some keys. I was going to spend some money this year. And be honest with you, that's just not me. As soon as I got into my groove and did the thing the way I do it, became that machine that uses these fingers, these deadly weapons, and got in there and started going through the boxes at light speed that I've been told. My pace around the place, man, I was able to hit that place, found some great deals, and found in my favorite thing to do at Heroes Con now, my favorite thing, better than short boxes, long boxes, dollar boxes, 50-cent boxes. And I will say, over the last year and a half, I have seen that the new dollar box are now the $2 boxes. I think it's coming, guys. I think it's coming to where we're going to see more of those than the dollar boxes. I don't think dollar boxes will ever disappear. And if you happen to be going to Heroes Con on a Sunday today, that is the day for the deals. That's where I hit it for years. Because those guys, those vendors, those guys, they don't want to take it home. They don't want to take it home, and you're going to be seeing slashes on their box. You're going to be seeing sales all day long. The longer you wait, the cheaper the books are going to get with a lot of people. So it was awesome. All right. Oh man, I like that. Howler Mouse with the flipping fingers of fury, man. That's going to be my next kung fu movie. That's going to be awesome. I love that. All right. So my favorite thing to do now over the last couple of years is there's a lot of people who will show up there, and what they were doing before the pandemic and the 5 years that I missed and stuff is that they would buy up tons of collections. And in those collections, they would pull out the trades, soft cover, hardcover trades, and they would just make soft cover $5, hardcover $10, which was fantastic, right? So I'll look for those first thing, and I'll be damned. The first thing that happened is when on Friday, when I walked in, it's like I could sense it, right? They were right to my right and in the second row. I mean, they were right there. And I found some good stuff, right? I don't know if you know who Tardy is, but I am a huge fan of this guy. I feel like I have been missing out, but this is a French artist. He's huge, huge. Talk about huge. I think since the 70s and stuff, right? But one of my friends back in 2001, I worked with her, and her husband was originally from England. So they go back to England to see his family. They went into France, and my friend knew I was in the comic books. So she was looking for comic books, and she was amazed that she couldn't find them until she saw this. Kind of tells you the stigma of comics, how they're viewed, right? She was looking for a bunch of kids and stuff to where they'd be hanging out. Maybe they were reading comics. And what she found was a bunch of French businessmen in their black trench coats and three-piece suits and ties reading Tardy. So she brought me over a softcover trade from France that's in French. And from what I can understand, I couldn't really get on YouTube and get a accurate if I wanted to type in all the dialogue and stuff and get an accurate, this is in the 2000s, I couldn't get it on any search engine and actually get it translated for me because it's like what they actually speak in French, not high school French. So for 20 years, I would look at this and the art just got me. He told great stories, and I can't show any of this because there's lots of nudity in this, right? But with this one, Tardy, the stuff that I saw was like film noir with that great French art twist, occupied France during World War II, and a private investigator and stuff. Apparently, they have TV shows and movies or something of the guy, right? And this, I read the editorial in this, and if I'm reading this right, this was a comic that he made in Germany or for Germany, and they had problems getting it out to other countries because of the material in it, right? And to him, if I read the editorial at the beginning of this right, Tardy became the outlaw in this. This was, how dare you tell me how to do my art? So they made this whole story up as they went along. And it's sort of like a middle finger to the editors and the powers that be, the man, or whoever the man is, over there in Europe. All right. So I look forward. I'll be reading this today. I flipped through it. Let me see if I can find a clean page. Cause opening scene, Tardy storytelling. I swear this feels like a kindred spirit. There's some things in here it's how I picture things in my mind when it comes to storytelling. Just fantastic stuff, man. I hope Paolo, our foreign correspondent of YouTube, pops up and maybe he can say a few things about this, right? But black and white, noirish, everything, just fantastic, right? So that is called The True Story of the Unknown Soldier. So I cannot wait to get into this. And if this was a Doctor Who book, I would tell you don't blink, and you either get that or you don't. Weeping Angels. So that was fantastic. Okay. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, hey, Osborne. Nowadays, you can aim your phone and iPad camera at a French comic page, and Google Translate will change the words and balloons to English. Yeah, I heard about that. Maybe one day. Hey, Crack, what's up? Now, Comic Crack is here, and I want to just indulge me for a minute. Crack, you're not going to believe it, but I didn't buy them because even on the sale price, it was just too much and stuff. But they had some original. I found 5 issues of original Von Bode underground comics from the 70s, and I may spontaneously. Seems like it was something junkyard, something I can't remember, man. But I almost got it, and so help me, I had a kindred spirit beside me because he saw me thinking about it. I was about to lay down $50, $60, and I just couldn't do it. And he said, even at a sale price, that's right on the line. He got it. So I found the one Von Bode fan in the whole place. Well, he found me. He was right beside me. Oh man, was that Tardy off the bat? No, that was Tardy, the Unknown Soldier. I'll show it to you again since you popped in here, Crack. Yeah, the Unknown Soldier. I will be reading this today, probably as soon as I get off here and trying to take a nap. Friar Tuck. My oldest daughter still gets creeped out by the angels. Yeah, they do their job well. They understand the mission, right? Now for $5, not $5 a piece, $5, and I have no idea why I got this deal because they were supposed to be $5 a piece. I even said, "Are you sure?" And this, like I said, these are the first things I bought, right? I mean, here's the actual buying off the charts right off the bat, right? But I can't get over how new these are. These are from, oh my God. I just looked these up, but it was in the middle of the night. I think these are from 2023, actually. No, excuse me, 2016. This other one might be from 2023. But it looks like Dark Horse took their turn at reprinting some shock suspense stories of the EC archives. $5 for 2 of these, right? And this stuff, the Jack Davis, the Wally Woods, Feldstein. I mean, all these guys. Just a horror story by Ray Bradbury. Yeah, just some great EC reprints and a nice soft cover volume. I just love this stuff, man. That's got to be some Al Williamson there. Al Williamson, yeah. So I love my EC stories, and it's just fantastic to have found 2 of these for $5. Can I say that again? Weird fantasy. I love their sci-fi stuff, along with their horror. I know the horror is the way to go. Don't get me wrong. I will say that a lot of that stuff is probably better remembered and things like that. But I'm a 50s. I love that 50s and 60s sci-fi feel. The serials of the 30s and the 40s. The older, the better for me. I don't know why. It's got a charm. It's got a certain charm and an innocence. So yeah, this is just fantastic. We get our covers. This story here is right here. That's on the cover. This is one of my favorite EC stories ever. I don't know why. It's full of 50s tropes, I guess. But yeah, it was just fantastic to see this stuff. The culture at the time is really reflected in there. Things that they feared and how they thought and fear of the future. Sometimes is what it felt like. As you know, with EC comic stories, I think one of the great things about them is they always sort of have like you get your due. What you reap, you sow. You get paid. Everything at the end is morally set in a balance, because if you're a bad guy or you're doing anything, you get taught a lesson because there's a consequence. So that was good. Now this I will be opening, but I'm going to be gingerly with it. Right, this is a slipcase I'm going to show you, and I didn't open it when it was down there, and I thought about it, but it's wrapped in plastic. It's still wrapped, right? And I'm going to be taking my X-Acto knife and going down the side of it and trying to keep the plastic around it. So I can just slip it in and out and preserve this, right? But I never thought I would see this. And actually, I swear I saw this. Somebody sent it to me telling me that it was coming, but they got a bunch of comic book guys to come in, right? Ed Brubaker or somebody, I don't know. I have to look at who it is and stuff like that. But if you're into Anthrax, the band Anthrax, one of my faves since about 86, one of my favorites. I saw them in concert last year. They're bringing Charlie, the drummer, Scott, the leader of the band and stuff, got with a bunch of comic book pros, and they took a bunch of song titles from Among the Living album of 86, 87, and they had a story written and drawn by some comic pros with going by the title of each of their songs from the day. And it's black on black, so you're not going to be seeing it. But I got the Anthrax slipcase, $15. Only one there in all of Heroes Con that I saw, sitting on a table with these people, not in the $5 and $10 boxes. $15. And I thought you could only order this, right? If this thing is as great as I think it's going to be, as fun as it is probably a better way to put it. And I'm not expecting Shakespeare here. The Knot Man is not about, class. But I may do a whole video on this. I don't even know if there's one on YouTube yet and stuff, but I didn't know this thing had come out. I thought you had to special order it, who knows? I never saw it. I never saw it being promoted or anything to where I could pre-order it. Don't know, man. Don't know. But yeah, they have a list of their songs on the back of it. And the one I'm interested in is I Am the Law, because that is a song where they were touring in England, and they discovered Judge Dredd, and he became like a staple of the band. It's where I discovered, thanks to them, it's also where I discovered Judge Dredd. So I'm going to be real interested to see what kind of comic book story they did with I Am the Law. All right, guys, I said it at the very beginning of the show. I doubt he was listening because it looks like he just popped in, but everybody wish Charlton66 a happy belated story. Yeah. I'm back home. I got home probably about 11 o'clock last night, and I didn't go to bed till about 1. I had a great time at the con. Things that were going on around it, not so much, but the show was great. I got a lot of great stuff, and thanks for the encouragement, man. The encouragement before I even went down there with the message, man. Appreciate it, man. It jacked me up, man. It really did. What we have here. Well, was this a conversation you went to this weekend? I went Friday and Saturday, Crack, if you're still out there. Yeah, Heroes Con going on now. Great to see Charlton in there. My first station show was when I was a kid, was Anthrax and Kish. There you go. Fantastic. Two great, you get great shows for both of those guys. The New York bands, man. Stadium show. I got you, man. All right. Okay. So we showed that, and now we have probably a few things in here, but this is what we're going to go through, okay? And I got some great stuff here also. So I went back on Saturday, like I said, and I went ahead and got this. I have all this was a 3-issue series that got put out by Top Shelf, but this is the 3rd volume of League Extraordinary Gentlemen. I found for $10. Okay, I had to get this. I think this was like a $30 or $40 book when it came out. But this is Century, and Alan Moore put out, I don't want to say they were prestige format, but they were square-bound issues where he was telling the next chapter. And it's called Century because this moves the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen forward coming out of the Black Dossier. If you have followed Alan Moore's stuff, right? Great hardback. I do believe, the way I'm looking at this, I do believe that is a dust cover on this. That great Kevin O'Neill art. But I do have the issues in square bound, and they're on the shelf. But you know what? $10. This is going to look so much better on the shelf with the rest of the Alan Moore stuff, the hardbacks. Plus, I won't have to try to crack those things open, because the way square bound books work, as you read them more and more, there's always a line on the cover that will start doing a color break on there, right? Now, the interesting thing about this is I think this came out in the 2000s sporadically. They tried to keep it on track, but what do you want to do? And this is where Alan Moore realized that he was getting older, and with his research and writing and all the things he's interested in, He realized that without any effort, he could write a Victorian era story. He could write a story about the 30s, the 40s, anything from the past. He could capture that era. And then when he tried to make how the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen would be relevant with today's literature, because for you guys that don't know, he pulls from literature. These are all characters from Bram Stoker, pop culture. Bram Stoker's Dracula is Mia, Alan Quatermain. He brings in a version of James Bond. Everybody. He brings in everybody. He had the Charlie Chaplin Adolf in the book from the Dictator movie. Instead, things like that. I mean, the more you know, these are just Easter eggs hidden all through here, the way he puts them together, right? But then when he got to the 20th century, he had to revert, and well, that's not even the word I'm looking for, but he had to ask his daughters, because he realized he doesn't know what the hell is going on now and how to kind of function like that to write it realistically, which is funny. So the main point of this is that where he pulls from pop culture and literature and melds all these guys together, all these characters together. Harry Potter is the Antichrist, and he gets into the phallic symbolism of a wand, and he shoots lightning bolts from his penis. If there's a place to move on, that would be it. Okay, so without that being said, now I'm going to show you somebody here, and this is the kind of guy that if you talk about his superhero stuff or anything that he's doing now or in the last few years, last 15 years, it will stop a show. If you do a YouTube show, if you do a YouTube live show, you talk about everything going sideways when you bring his name up. It's like a curse. It's like his name actually has power. It's enough to make you superstitious. But then I will digress to his humble beginnings after he was a failed scriptwriter and started writing crime noir and crime books, sometimes mixing the superheroes with the crime. Writers are great liars. They write in a way that you think it's the truth. That's part of their ability. And I have always believed that he actually was able to ride around with cops and detectives so he would know how cops and detectives talked. I do believe that. Maybe he's lying. I don't know. So before all his atrocious superhero stuff, I think his powers is great. I think Jinx is really good. And I also think that he took a real crime story back in his indie days and he did Torso. And for $5, I have the complete trade of Torso. And I'm looking forward to seeing this. The artwork is exactly what you're seeing on the cover throughout. The use of blacks and negative space. And it's going to have a cinematic feel because his early stuff felt like he had a pacing. When you read the first issue of Jinx, the first 5 pages is just watching a dollar bill fall to the ground. So sometimes it is good to have somebody. I don't believe Bendis was a huge comic book fan. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but it doesn't show in his work, in my opinion. I feel like that's what's wrong with his characterization in comics. He has no research, no reference or anything. I don't know. But it's kind of cool when somebody comes in, they're able to do something different with their work. And it's theirs. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to reading Torso. Okay. And then I have the first 6 issues of this. And I bought the first 6 issues because I found a comic book store in 2011, maybe 12, that was going out of business. And I got all the variant covers for this, the first 5 or 6 issues of this, of an 8-issue miniseries, with the variant covers for $0.25 a piece. I never got around to reading it because I didn't have all of them. And then, strangely enough, in conversations with people who read comics and collect comics and stuff outside there in the world, I was told when they found out that I had the Marvels projects, or they mentioned stuff, they're like, you really need to read it. This is very good, right? Well, I finally, for $5, I said, why not? And I found the trade for this, the Marvels project, Ed Brubaker, Steve Epting. And I'm guessing this is supposed to be the origin of the heroes going all of, I don't know. I don't know if it's conspiracy or what it's going to be, but it has the golden age heroes of timely and retro stuff. Captain America, the Invaders. It's going to be an Invader story. Captain America, Bucky, Human Torch, Angel, Submariner, all those guys. Maybe the Vision will pop up. I don't know. So yeah, I'll go back and read this and stuff because Ed Brubaker, Bendis, Brubaker, there's 4 of them that kind of came out at the same time, and they were doing crime comics where they used to do crime novels and stuff. They all get mixed up in my head sometimes. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about a haul. Now, one thing that I'm very, very proud of, there's one issue of this I probably need to upgrade, but I'm not being greedy. And I knew I would find this issue. Charlton 66, who was here, helped me out a few years ago to get a certain issue and stuff, right? But when I was a kid, I talked about reading heavy metal. But the one that I actually fell in love with, heavy metal is always going to have that spot. Don't get me wrong. But it was Epic Illustrated, right? So for years, I had sporadic issues. I had some when I was a kid and things like that. And it finally happened for $5. I made a deal with him. I got 2 books off this guy, but I think with the math, this came to $5. Epic Magazine goes by month. Okay. I think it was a quarterly magazine, if that. But anyway, this is officially, unofficially / number 25. So I now have all 34 issues of Epic Illustrated. Okay. Yeah, this should be issue 25. I'm doubting myself now. This is from 1984 in great condition. I think issue number 8 that I have needs an upgrade, and that's about it. I have them all, and I absolutely love this series. A lot of the stuff will never be reprinted because the original artists and writers and stuff kept the rights. So, yeah, some things may be reprinted, some artwork may be reused for covers and things like that. But that's what makes Epic Magazine very special. Now, the other thing is if you decide to track these down or already have them, the paper ends up being very fragile if they're not taken care of. That's why I didn't have, that's why I had to replace a bunch of my Epic Illustrated magazines, because I can actually go downstairs and have a stack about that thick that just my Kiss magazine from 77 that the stepdad bought when he went to a concert in 77. I have a bunch of this stuff. It just disintegrates over time if it's not taken care of, right? So I feel like the paper quality of the cover is going to make this it's going to be much more collectible. Let's put it that way. So we completed that run, which is fantastic, man. All right, who we got in here? All right, good morning. Yeah, we have Orloff in here, and the Brain is here. Good morning, Brain. What's up, man? Okay, what do we got? What do we got here? I'm gonna turn this around. Okay, John Byrne's Next Men, right? I was one of those Byrne fans, still am to a certain extent, right? And there was nothing like him finishing 31 issues of John Byrne's Next Men at Dark Horse, where he ventured out into creator own stuff and everything like that. And basically, the trick with the Next Men was, John Byrne lived near a sci-fi author named Larry Niven. And so there's no doubt in my mind that maybe he had conversations with Niven, or maybe he just got inspired by talking to his friend or something, right? But this takes place in the real world. And basically, it's a government experiment where they all lived in a virtual world, which was like a garden. And they had their own little culture, and it was very innocent. And they all had powers. And then all of a sudden they would wake up from it to a very cruel world. All right. And what the magic of it was that I caught on to right away is that each member of the Next Men, he took Superman's powers and divided each power to one of them. And then he expanded on how that could be realistic. If you have super speed, if you can run super fast, you're going to have, he did it to where the kid who could do that had great big huge thick thighs. All right. If you're going to be invulnerable, bullets bounce off you and stuff, you're not gonna be able to cut your hair. You're not going to be able to get a suntan. You're not gonna be able to cut your nails, things like that. If you have vision powers, you can get grotesque eyes, and so on and so forth, anything like that. And then all of a sudden the series ended and he did a cliffhanger of 2 of the members of the Next Men looking like hell back in prehistoric times, getting ready to fight a T-Rex. And it would be years before he would finish the story. So this is a hardback of, I don't know, I think it was like the first 4 issues. He came back and did a couple issues and wrapped up the Next Men. But for us that were there in the 90s, it took a long damn time, So that was fantastic. Okay, guys, let me turn the box around. We'll just start at the beginning here. All right. We'll just get this stack. And this is going to be mixed, right? I'm going to be telling you if they were $1 or 50 cents and stuff, right? But believe it or not, these were 50 cents a piece, right? I cannot believe it, because these are Basil Wolverton covers. These are Silver Age books that are 50 years old, if not a little bit older now. and Wally Woodcover, right? Two Wally Woodcovers and stuff, right? And I'm just glad that we are all seasoned people here, seasoned collectors. We're, some of us getting long in the tooth as well. But I was just like shaking my head, like, you don't know what's good, man. You don't know what's good, Ramp. So I got 3 more issues of Plop. I'm going to end up like finishing this series without even trying. But underground comics were hitting, for the people in the know, people who are probably living in New York or whatever and stuff, right? So Plop was DC's attempt of doing an underground comic, and they brought in Basil Wolverton to do these wild psychedelic covers. Sergio Aragonis was in there with Cain, Abel, and Eve from House Mystery, House of Secret, and so on, popping up to be your host, and just some wild stuff, man. I mean, like, if you were into Mad Magazine, you were probably into Plop, man. But this Wally Wood cover is fantastic. I mean, I absolutely love that. That man can do no wrong. He could draw anything. And of course, Basil Wolverton, for a guy who started out in, was it the 40s, guys, to just be so relevant up to 25 years later, just with simple covers and stuff, to have your pulse on that culture. It's fantastic of underground comics. Now, this is the find. I was going to save this to last. If you have me on Instagram, you've already seen it. And I kind of chuckled, man, because I was like, my buddy that was there, they were super pumped because they bought the first issue of the Punisher miniseries, and they also bought one that was graded. I saw people there that were like, I've got this Batman, I got this and all this stuff. And I was just thinking, in a world of Batman and Punisher and Deadpool and all this stuff, I was so happy to find a 1962 #1 issue of Rocky and his fiendish friends, Rocky and Bullwinkle. If I walked over there, if I turned the camera around, you're going to see my Rocky and Bullwinkle complete DVD set and a DVD in my Blu-ray player, where I'm working my way through it sporadically as I can when I'm actually have some time here alone to watch it. But in my day, Sunday mornings consisted of 2 things. Okay, Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings for us as kids, that was cartoon time. That was the Saturday morning cartoon block. Took up a 30-year day. But on Sunday mornings, the local station around here in syndication would show Rocky, Bullwinkle, Underdog, 9 to 10. And then sometimes you would get Doctor Who in the 80s. They would show Doctor Who 30-minute segments of one story at 6 o'clock to 6:30. But on Sunday, they would edit them all together and release them like it was a mini movie. And on top of that, after if you really wanted to play around, if you stuck around in before the PBS and stuff, they actually had an era in the early 80s where they would it was like you went to the movies in the 30s and 40s. They would show big blocks with an intro showing the old 30s and 40s piano music, like a silent movie and stuff like that. And you would get all the cartoons, serials, and old movies just like it was at the theater when you paid a nickel and you were going to spend 4 hours there, which was fantastic. What we got here? Yeah, we got a few things here. I think these were $1 a piece. Basically, they were $2 a piece, but you got a third one for free for every third one you bought or something. And somehow I did the math, and it came to like $1.50 a piece or whatever. And like I said, these are all mixed up because I was cataloging them. Just some quick upgrades of some great Sienkiewicz New Mutant stuff. It blows my mind how X-Men popular. Everybody still loves their X-Men that were there, and they were hot and stuff like that. But something about Sienkiewicz coming on the New Mutants with Chris Claremont changed the tone, and I'm appreciating this stuff so much more, despite having a bunch of these in my collection since 85. You know what I mean? Like going back and rereading them, they seem all right. Now, Tim, you've got a throwaway issue, number 45 of Marvel Comics Presents. What's up with that, Howler? What's up with that, right? What makes this so special, right? Well, Marvel Comics Presents, for you guys that don't remember it, which I think the people live here know exactly what this is. This was This is Marvel's anthology series where it came out once a week. You had 4 stories going on. 2 of them would usually be ongoing stories with standalone issues and stuff, right? So what's great about this is it is an era of its time. This came out in 1990. And if you were around in the 80s, you knew wrestling and you knew Hulk Hogan. And if you read comic books, you knew about Incredible Hulk. And an amazing thing had happened because Peter David had really been getting a lot of attention for several years for his Incredible Hulk work, right? So his great story in this one, which is fantastic, and remember this is number 45, is that he finally did it. In a wrestling ring, we have the Incredible Hulk versus Hulk Hogan. It happens, and it's in continuity, and it's written by Peter David, and it's funny as hell. It's hilarious. The Hulk is like, "You stole my name," and it's worth checking out. Number 45. This is if you like to have fun reading your comics. Okay, let's do something real quick here, right? So these are upgrades replacing these books. I bought these off the stands, and I sold an X-Men collection of 81 consecutive issues back in 1993, right? And sadly, this was one of them, but this was when Alan Davis was bleeding in, coming into Marvel, building that momentum, doing random issues with Chris Claremont of an X-Men annual, and then part of the Morlock Massacre, and then he comes on, does another issue proper, 215. They had Rick Leonardo. John Romita left, and I don't know what the story was, but you had Barry Windsor Smith coming in, but he would do an X-Men issue about once a year anyway. Rick Leonardi, who is this? Alan Davis, I think Brett Breeding or somebody. Was that who it was? Somebody came in, but they had a rotation of artists until Mark Silvestri got there. But anyway, this is a key because these are some golden age characters you never heard of who are doing their hunting Storm. You know what I mean? Like there's that movie out there where somebody does a rich guy decides to starts hunting real people on his land as a game. Well, they do that to Storm in this one. Again, Barry Windsor Smith. I can't believe I sold this because if it's Windsor Smith, it's mine. Again, like I said, I fill an issue before they came in. I'm just plugging up holes. And then this is one of my favorite Thor stories, personally. Not that it's touching, not that it's anything like that. But Walt Simonson had left Thor. Tom DeFalco came on, and he did these one-shot stories, I guess, until Ron Friends and Tom were able to get things going, I guess. But there was this Stan Lee script of Hulk versus Thor that Eric Larson drew. They did this story where it's this is your Secret War story. Now this popped. I never got rid of this, but this disappeared from the collection. I bought a copy off eBay, and of course, I took my chance. It came back not as great shape as it is, but this one makes up for it, right? But this is a story between Thor and Enchantress during Secret Wars. I love when they do that. It's not a retcon. They just do a story that works on the side, and it works. They don't take liberties with the story that's going on. I have what was it, EXO? I think I have an EXO special or an EXO issue where they did that with Unity. There's been a few things, right? So you can just slip this right in there with your Secret Wars run. Of course, this is the first appearance of Eric Masterton. I think it's his name, Masterton, whatever. The guy that he became Thunderstrike. He replaced Thor. They were planting the seeds. He replaced Thor, and Thor came back. And that's when we started getting these carbon copies of heroes. Some who still have fans for Thunderstrike was Thor. The War Machine was Iron Man, and so on. I guess, whatever. And then I'm plugging this up, man. I think the She-Hulk. Now, the keys, those keys and controversial issues of She-Hulk, I think they're going to maintain. I think they'll go up and down. They're going to maintain. But everything else, She-Hulk, that's not a key, the show killed it. I have seen it with my own eyes. I didn't watch the show. I knew better. But being at the cons and being around people and being at these vintage shows and stuff like that, the excitement's not there. If she's not jumping rope, they don't want it. Okay. But anyway, this is early Brian Hitch and Steve Gerber. I was there. My brother and I both were getting She-Hulk from 1 to whatever it was, number 7 or 8 with John Byrne. And then I was right back when Byrne was there. Didn't collect anything else of this. And then I about fell down years later when I found out Steve Gerber had took over the book. Pre-internet, guys, right? So Steve Gerber came on there and did quite a few issues there. So if you like Steve Gerber, you have some She-Hulk you can get. And they pulled in Howard the Duck for a little bit. Like I said, what we have here. I'm just talking away. Okay. Friar Tuck, Rocky and Bullwinkle on cable early morning of my youth out in New York City and Boston, perhaps. That show is, watching it as an adult, it works on so many levels of that show. Okay, Marvel Comics Presents was a favorite. Loved the anthology format and the later issues. They were my introduction to Sam Keith. Yeah, Sam Keith issues are just fantastic. Gore Vidal is here. Good morning, Gore. Happy Father's Day, team. I thought about you this morning while bike riding. I stopped at a birdhouse library and found Lord of the Trees by Farmer, which you've talked about. Do I wish, Doc? What's going on here? I will finish that up there. I haven't finished it yet, by the way. I have not finished it yet. Philip Jose Farmer, definitely one of my favorite authors. Fantastic stuff, right? So this is random stuff. I think we're getting into the 50-cent bins here, right? The problem is I hit two 50-cent bins on 2 different days, okay? So we're just going to go with it and say these were 50 cent. Now, there's more in here, right? So now we're going to look at a ton of 50-cent comics, right? You guys, I know I'm straightforward on this, so, and I know I worry about it more than anybody else does about telling you exactly what I got, if I want to do this, right? So basically for 50 cents, this was missing out of my collection, but Jeff Johns' Teen Titans, minor key here of Miss Martian. Miss Martian, this was after the 1 year later events of whatever was going on at DC at the time, where they had a crossover, and then it was 1 year later, and then they picked up the books like 1 year had happened, but you missed that chunk of time. And they had a bunch of new Titans. So to continue the theme of the superheroes having sidekicks or younger versions of them, we got our Miss Martian. She does have a little bit, I don't want to say cult following. I don't think it's big enough to say cult following, but there's people that love her. I don't get it, but it's cool. I mean, I know her secret and stuff, right? So yeah, a minor key there. This, there you go. I bought this again. Sometimes I just have a moment of weakness, and there'll be something in these books that I just love that I feel like they need a home, right? This one, it's a blueprint. Yes, you see that, a blueprint, and cards and little notes of Teen Titans and the Legion and stuff, Secret Origins. But this is a Secret Origins where the headquarters of our superheroes each gets an origin issue. And if you watch James Gunn, the Suicide Squad, they had Arms Fall Off Man or Arms Fall Off Boy or whatever, something like that. I believe this is his first issue, grain of salt. I just know that I do have the first issue of that character in the movie, and it cracked me up he was there. Why does that mean anything? Well, it means something to me because I got to watch my wife and stepson laugh their ass off when we were watching the movie when Nathan Fillion's arms just floated across a beach and started smacking people. So it brought joy to people. Okay. I'm picking these up now. I had some of them. I didn't stick with Dungeons and Dragons. I know the very cover where I quit. So we're going to say that with TSR coming in and DC licensing some of their products, we got 4 books. Forgotten Realms, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Spelljammer. I swear there was another one. Was it 3? Who knows? But I could not handle the artwork in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And it hurt because they had actual people who worked at TSR and made the modules and made up the rules and everything on these books, Jeff Grubb and all this stuff. But I just couldn't handle the artwork on Dungeons and Dragons. And I thought the character designs were weak. Wherein you look at Forgotten Realms and Rags Morales and Jeff Grubb doing it, that book, I thought that was the fantasy book at the time, right? So I'm picking Dragonlance. That 4th one was Dragonlance. There we go. Okay, so anyway, with Dungeons and Dragons, I'm a little bit more forgiving, and if I find these in 50-cent bins, I'll pick up a few. I have a number one of Dragonlance. I know they're popping. And speaking of that, Forgotten Realms was the book that I followed when it came out of this. This is the one that stuck the landing, the one that kept me in there. I now have a complete set of Forgotten Realms, 25 issues and an annual, I believe. So yeah, and what's so wild is that these are worth nothing, but try to find them. Try to complete a set. Challenge yourself. Don't cheat. Don't use internet. Don't cheat. We double dipped because I actually just on my bad. I need 1 or 2 issues to have the complete Cable run by James Robinson, Joe Casey, but it's not them that I'm excited about. It's Ladron. I am a huge Ladron fan. I can see the Kirby, the Mobius, the Cyberpunk, everything like that. Ladron, off and on since the 90s, I pick up his stuff as sporadically as it comes out. And there's just a few issues of Cable that I cannot find that he did. And I tell you what, getting me to buy a Cable book, well played. Well played, Marvel. Well played. Oh, and happy Father's Day to everybody that's popped in here. I wished everybody a happy Father's Day at the beginning, but happy Father's Day to everybody that's come in here, right? This is an upgrade. Micronauts. We do know that Bill Mantlo and Mike Golden and this volume 1 of Micronauts has its first has its fans. So I'm missing issue 6 and I don't know 50. I don't know 2-3 issues. I'll have a complete run. I didn't even try to complete this, which was so funny. I have my number 1 in here somewhere. Also, I took my number 1 to get signed, but I didn't do it. But anyway, but Micronauts. I ended up flipping through Jackson Geist. Butch Geist ended up taking over the art later on in the series, and I got it. I read 1 or 2 issues with the Butch Geist art after the book had been around for several years. And something about that issue, I was like, I get it. I get why Micronauts has their fans. And it's amazing that we're talking about a book that is closer to 50 years than it is 40. Think about that, guys. That is still talked about, that's fantastic. I bought issues of Micronauts off of dealers, and I said it when I did it. 50 cents, by the way, from dealers who claimed that was the only comic they actually did buy when they were a kid, which I was like, I believe them, because like, who would make up a lie like that? Okay, 50 cents, guys. These are 50 cents, right? Now, I know the edgy thing that's going around with what I watch. I don't know if this is in all circles or anything like that, but there's a guy named Razor Fist who I legitimately believe, because he can intelligently tell you his beef with Alan Moore and Watchmen, right? So I'm not talking about those people. There's people who I think legitimately do it, right? They can actually tell you what it is they don't like about it. But then I ran across for years on my experience with YouTube and past YouTubers, and none of them are actually around now that I think about it. But I think it was around 2013 or 14 that it was the edgy thing to say Watchmen was overrated and Alan Moore is overrated, yet they couldn't tell you why. It was just, for some reason, it was just edgy. So I think the test of time will come by. Even if you don't like Watchmen, I have no problem with that. But please, let's at least acknowledge its place in history. Its accomplishments and its ability to survive over the years and stuff, right? And that's a whole other thing, right? But so imagine my surprise. I've actually found 4 issues, but one was like a little bit beat up. I just put it back, right? So imagine my surprise when I found 3 issues of number 10 for 50 cents a piece. And this is late in the day at the first day of the con. I'm like, bunch of savages. I didn't sit there and think about, did I miss other issues or something like that? But these had been sitting at Heroes Con all day long in a 50-cent bin, and nobody had grabbed them up. And I know how that sounds. That disgusts me. It really does. Okay, so I got to do a little research on this, because I ended up talking to a dealer because I found another copy of this that I could have got for like $5 or something. But this book, number 1, this is the last issue of the series, and it wasn't supposed to be. This story was infamous, not famous. And you were like, what the hell are you doing? You could even be the hardest hardcore Miller fan, and you just had to acknowledge that. What the hell is he doing? You wanted to know. But I don't know if all issues were recalled or just a few of the issues were recalled, right? Because I thought they left the cursing in. And what they would do is, in the word balloons, they would write the cursing in, but they would take a black bar and black out all of the curse words in this, right? So I started talking to the guy, and we were trying to figure it out if this is a recalled edition. And he informs me, after doing his research on Google, that all the books were recalled, and it wasn't because the words were not blacked out. It's because they were blacked out so bad you could still make out the words. So I may have walked away from a recalled book. I don't know. So we'll have to go look at this one. But with all that hype and all that talk, All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder number 10. So I've had these. I've gotten rid of these. And now I'm picking them up. I don't know why. They're there. They're cheap. I do like the Frank Miller variant covers, if you want to look at those and stuff, right? But yeah, the only way I can defend that book is that Jim Lee drew his ass off trying to save it, and he tried to promote it correctly. So kudos to Jim Lee for having a business sense. A lot of people I'm starting to realize, and I'm sort of becoming one of them. That was the turning point for Miller, I think, a little bit, right? 50 cents a piece. Could not believe I found this. And I think there's 5 issues of this deluxe comics where you had Keith Giffen. You had a bunch of DC guys working at Deluxe Comics, whose initials are also DC. But I think they put out 5 issues of Wallywood's Thunder Agents. I now need 1 issue. I think this was coming out during Crisis, right? And it's several short stories of these Wallywood Thunder Agents in there. And these are fantastic. These are so damn good. I'm almost glad that they're not hot books or exploited or people wanting to get them and stuff, man. They're just solid little comic book reads, man. Fantastic. And then JC Productions. Don't know a lot about them, but this is classic Wallywood. It's in Mylar. It's in Mylar. They put this in Mylar, and it's $1 a book. So I don't know if this is reprints or I don't know what I have here. So I'll have to do a little research on it and stuff, right? Of course, I love my Legion. I need to get this in a bag for 50 cents. I remember the story here, right? But the Legion of Superheroes started out as Superboy and the Legion. Well, and before that, it was Superboy. So they ended up just handing the book over and kept the numbering and started calling it Legion of Superheroes. And then they had a mysterious hero pop up, maybe coming up, and his name was Reflecto, which if you're a Legion fan, there were some adult Legion stories that took place in the future of the future. And they had a hall that was a memorial of statues of dead Legionnaires that you never heard. Some of them you'd never heard of. And in the middle of it was Reflecto, and it was a mystery of who his secret identity was. And I remember having the issue before this, and it revealed his identity. And then, strangely enough, this wasn't on the stands the next month. Now, I was a kid, and it is in a small town, so maybe they just didn't order it. Maybe it's sold out. I don't know. But it's nothing big, but it's just Legion of Superheroes 280, folks. Roy Thomas written. 50 cents. I found another issue of Dark Horse Presents Sin City stuff. I will pick this stuff up all day long. I have a complete set. I was able to sporadically buy it when it was coming out in the 90s. And of course, this got retold this was rechristened when the Sin City movie came out back in the 2000s. Wrap that around your head. It's almost 20 years ago. And then they started doing the new printings of the story out of this and called it The Long Goodbye. But before that, it was just Sin City. Okay. John Byrne took over Wonder Woman in the 90s. He did this cover. I think he did one little story, but instead of calling them specials or annuals and stuff, you guys may remember, and it's not that long ago, they did it for a while, but you would get secret files and origins and stuff, right? These would come out and supposedly had great secrets in them, and nothing really standoffish came out. The only one that's really a key, I think, is the JSA secret files and origins that brought in a new hot girl, if you will, right before the JSA really took off. Now, these books, okay, these are in the mix, and I do remember these, but these were $1 a piece, and I didn't even try to haggle. I didn't haggle. I saw them. Oh, here we go. Hey, the JC Thunder Agents book has new stories and art. Good stuff. I knew it. Awesome. Paolo is here. I showed some tardy at the beginning, Paolo. You're late. I needed you when I showed some tardy. I showed a tardy, this tale of the unknown soldier or something here. But anyway, what do we have here? Watchmen and weird covers. It's a great Sunday morning. Yes. Yes. Fantastic stuff, right? So, again, I know sometimes I like tell stories about me and stuff like that, but for whatever reason with this Stormwatch book, I had it in my hands twice. I had it in the stack of comics I was buying twice, but when I got home, it wasn't there. So apparently I was mistaken. So I was damned to be sure that I got this, but now I finally have number 48 of Stormwatch, a little saga that I have not shared with YouTube and stuff of me trying to get this book. And like I said, up until like 2019 was the last time I actually had my hands on it for $1. I'm not joking. If you get on eBay and look up Stormwatch number 48, somebody actually has one on there for like $300, and they're 30 and $40, and they're all in Europe for some reason. I haven't seen anybody at eBay from America selling this, right? Now, I want to be quoted here. Today is 6/18/2023. This is me looking at it for months and months on eBay, so it may not be there now, but I think it is, okay? But anyway, change and die. It's got a minor first appearance of a character, if you will. I think it's minor, but maybe you won't. But anyway, I now have a complete Warren Ellis Stormwatch from 37 to 50. Then they went into the second series, and I found this for $1. And I did not look up the value, but it's always been a kind of a key book. And of course, with the announcement of the Authority movie, it's going to be a huge key book and things like that. But my second copy should be my third copy because, it seems like the universe balances out things for me. I had 2 copies of this, can only find one, and yet then I found another one for $1 that's in primo shape, but it's Stormwatch number 4, the volume 2, and it's first appearance of Apollo and Midnighter, the world's finest team, if you will. Okay, so if that Authority movie, and if that is really a love letter that James Gunn is going to write for have the movie made for the book. He said that is his dream project. These 2 characters could be something. I don't know. They're already something in certain circles, but yeah, it's great stuff. But this key, I'm going to look it up. But I feel pretty good saying this may have hit the $100 range, if not. And that may be eBay prices I'm talking about at some point. But yeah, for $1 every day. So this is my second or third copy of this one, but this is Warren Ellis when he came into the Wildstorm universe prim and proper and took over Stormwatch. I found another number 1. The original number 1 I had the artist Tom Rainey sign it and a few other issues. Well, Tom Rainey was there, and he was one of the few people at Heroes Con not charging for signatures. So I just walked up to him, and he signed another one. So I have another issue 37, the Warren Ellis on Stormwatch. Signed by Tom Rainey. And finally, talk about getting on the boat late. Okay. I love the fact that I've been collecting comics since 77. And I think it was a blessing in disguise that I could not and did not have access to these First Comics and Pacific Comics and Dark Horse and things throughout the 80s and other companies and stuff. In my little town where there was no comic book shop and it was dependent on the spinner racks, to get some more hardcore stuff, I had to depend on the magazine aisle for 1984, 1994, Heavy Metal, Epic Illustrated, and Conan and the Stepdad buying a lot of that stuff, right? But it started out with Mr. X. I had never heard of Mr. X, right? And then Charlton 66 and a bunch of guys that we were doing shows or whatever was going on, let me know that there's a Mr. X out there. And then for years, probably going back to 2014, people were telling me you got to check out Grendel. And I found Mage, and I now have a huge collection of Grendel. And what I like about Grendel, I guess, is I'm trying to figure out what people like about it. And in this live stream, I remember Gore Vidal telling me there was a lot of plot threads or something that were never finished or something, right? And now it's Grimjack's turn. So I found the first issue of Grimjack for $1. I don't know if that's a good deal. I don't know. It's not his first appearance. I have his first appearance. But how can you walk away from a beautiful copy of this? And if you guys watched me a week or 2 ago, I found the omnibus, these little miniature omnibus that I think Dark Horse, might have been Dark Horse, were putting out, where it's like issue 17 to 39 and some other stuff in it. And I was like blown away by it. So Grimjack gets a big thumb up from me. I mean, it's a Tim Truman. It's John Ostrander and Tim Truman. How can you say not? So I have a few issues of Megaton Man, or I think it's his name. Watch me go blank. Something with Normal Man in it and stuff like that. I know some other stuff, right? But I was actually excited to see this creator because there's a bunch of YouTube interviews that have been popping up with him. I don't know who's doing the interviews. There's just quite a few of them. And I went through there and I was like, damn, I didn't bring anything for him to sign. And as I was going through there, I found this 1992 splitting image, Don Simpson. And John Simpson was very nice, a little bit kind of appreciative. And of course, he signed it. But of course, the thing that's going on now with Heroes Con and stuff is, might have to do a whole other rant video and stuff, but apparently they're getting mad that your comic that you bought and took care of and bag and boarded that you actually own will pop on eBay and sell for a tremendous amount of money, especially if it has their signature and they're not getting a part of that eBay money. I don't know. So anyway, you got to get it personalized or they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. Some people were actually charging up to $30. I'm not joking. $30. All right. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Okay, guys. Now remember, these are 50-cent books, right? So prepare yourself, okay? You're going to laugh. I don't know if I double dipped here, right? There's 70 issues of Sandman Mystery Theater. I'm very close, I guess, in my opinion, of having the whole run. I could kick myself for not collecting this in the 90s. But I remember I pulled out my CLZ app and I was going down the line to make sure I didn't buy doubles. And what I'm afraid of is I've done one of two things. Okay, I looked up the books and I can't imagine that I did this. And I clicked the button and it saved the books automatically in my list. Or it was so busy at Heroes Con, there were so many people around me that I made a list. I made a stack of the ones I didn't have. I made a stack of the ones I did have, and I put the wrong one back, right? Because when I went to catalog these, it said I already had them. So I'm probably going to be kicking myself. And what was sad is it was like each stack was 3 issues and stuff. So we'll just go along and be positive and say I've come even closer. But Sandman Mystery Theater 67, something about the last year of this book. I'm assuming the print run probably shrunk or something, but they're very hard to get. Issue number 64, Matt Wagner and Stephen T. Siegel just did some fantastic work in this book. And you got a smoker there on the front of the cover. You just don't see that. And number 63. So I'm really hoping that, when I go to put these books in the Sandman Mystery Theater / the Dreaming box, I don't have doubles here. That would just kill me. 50 cents for those, right? 50 cents for this. I may back up and do this, get this IDW sort of miniseries, but it's from the X-Files Conspiracy, where they got a lot of these materials. And this one's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Okay. Then they had another one shot where they had X-Files and the Crow, X-Files and the Transformers, and something else. They were like little one shots, but apparently there's a theme. And from what I understand about this is that they go through a dossier and it's sort of like they're hunting the turtles like they would Bigfoot. Is it real or is it not? We have these blurry pictures and things like that. And of course the lone gunmen are on there, right? So, I actually started trying to kind of find this a couple months ago. So right there it was in a 50-cent bin, right? I'm trying to find the X-Files and the Crow one. And if they're really good, I might just try to get all of the conspiracy storyline, I guess is what you would call it. I about fell down when I saw these. Now, these books, I get excited about them. I like the story of Providence. It's not for everybody. It's H.P. Lovecraft and stuff, but it blows my mind how you can find these in the cheap boxes. I probably just need 2 issues of this 12-issue miniseries. I've got a soft cover over there of the entire series, and I actually fell in love with it, but it's a different kind of book, right? But I found issue 8 and 11 for in 50-cent boxes. That blows my mind. I mean, I think finding Alan Moore in general in 50-cent boxes is weird. Now, I'm going to laugh here, right? When you see these next set of books I found in the 50-cent boxes, right? I'm positive that's where I found them. Okay. If it's not 50 cents, it's $1, but yeah, I found them in 50-cent boxes. Okay. Yeah, it's got one book in particular I know for a fact I got out of there, and you'll see why I remember it, right? But The Immortal Hulk is that book where I would be doing these live shows and people would be telling me it's a great book. And I'm like, well, I read a few issues, and this every book that was coming out in the late 80s and stuff, this was the standard of storytelling. And then finally, I sat down and read a chunk a little bit more towards the beginning. And around issue 8 or 9, I conceded. I came out here live. I should have kneeled on my knee and been like, "You were right. This is fantastic. This is great. You guys have been right this whole time, right?" But there's a part of me that kind of chuckled because I started finding the issues that I was reading everything for $1 a piece. And I would go to actual comic book conventions like the Tri-City Comic Book Convention, Salem Vintage Show and stuff. And people were trying to get $20 to $40 per issue. I'm not exaggerating, right? I've been finding them for $1 a piece in flea markets. And then I found this for 50 cents, right? Okay. Different dealer. I found 2 dealers doing 50-cent boxes, right? Here's number 25 with the Alex Ross cover for 50 cents. Was that 27? 26. I have 27 downstairs. Nope, I have 27 right here. There's an issue I have around there. 27. Yeah. I hope these are showing up. 20. Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of Immortal Hulk, and I rebagged these. These were not in bags. That's what got me. These were not in bags. Reading the UFOs, number 44. I've seen comic book shops. This is still in. The Joe Fixit story that a lot of my buddies were telling me I have to check this one out. Joe Fixit gets a new body or something. Number 49 and number 50, Zimnu. That is actually one of my favorite comic book monsters ever. Usually if he's on the cover, it doesn't matter what it is, I will grab it. You know, I mean, I just absolutely have loved that guy since I was a kid. Okay. It just cracks me up, right? And I'll go ahead and tell you, not reading the entire 50 issue series of the Immortal Hulk, I ordered another comic book version, another comic book cover, Immortal Hulk, when it came out. Got to read it and I found it underwhelming. And I'm like, it has to be where I haven't read the entire series. All right. Okay, these are rest of these are 50-cent books. Apparently I hit those 50-cent boxes a lot harder than I thought, right? But for 50 cents, I already had these, but they're variant covers. And I am a DC guy going way back and stuff. And I actually think these are cool covers. And I can see these being framed or made into posters. But variant cover, they put $5 on the back of it, 50-cent bin of Brightest Day. Number, what is that, 8 with the Firestorm cover. Number 7 with a very arrogant, regal looking Aquaman all in white for Brightest Day. And I finally gave in. I love my Who's Who. I love my reference material. I have all my Who's Who from when I was a kid. You can go through them and there's pencil marks where I checked them for some reason or whatever, right? And then the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, obsessed with it, right? Absolutely obsessed with it. Then they started doing updates, right? So imagine my surprise where I followed this for years. And I'm buying them month to month and I'm reading the hell out of them. I'm doing all this stuff. The official handbook of the dead characters for the volume 1 of the Marvel one disintegrated. I still have it. I can show it to you. I read it so much it disintegrated, right? So imagine me when they come out with the last one of the last updates of 1989, and I've been following this stuff for years, getting the stuff that I can't find it and I can't get it. And I refused to pay the eBay prices I saw because it had a Venom cover appearance on it. And they're saying this is 1989. So this is one of the first Venom cover appearances. I'm like, big deal. You know, I'm like, this is not a comic. This is reference material, you know, about comic book characters, right? So a couple months ago, I just gave in. I found one for like $5, which included shipping. It came in and I was like, well, this isn't quite the condition they said. So imagine my surprise when I'm flipping through there, and this is the only issue they have in the entire series for 50 cents. So I could have saved $4.50 and got 9 other books. Who knew? All right, now we're getting back to the Bendis thing. I like Powers, but it has so many volumes, it's very confusing to get. You have the first volume that made it to like 37 issues in an annual. Then volume 2 came out, it had like maybe 30 issues. Then there was a volume 3 that had like 9. Then they had Powers Bureau. Then they had a volume 4 that was like 9 issues. It blows my mind trying to keep track of these, right? So I'm just going ahead and getting them, and I'm putting them in a short box with my stray bullets in the order to read them, all the volumes and stuff, right? So I did check my CLZ app, but I'm closer to finishing up my Powers collection. I think I need like maybe 5 issues total for all of them, the entire thing. I know I have it's Power Bureaus in volume 4 I'm trying to catch up on. But like I said, I really dig Bendis's crime comics, even when he does mix superheroes in it. To me, this is his forte. This is his strength. So yeah, there's some indie stuff. Of course, it went from Image to Icon to wherever he's taking it now. Filling in that Warren Ellis Excalibur run, and I don't know. I'm gonna have to check. I didn't really look to see all of them, but I think I may have all of the Warren Ellis issues, but I also need Excalibur 125, the last issue, and I'll be happy. Now, I can't remember quite the story, but I did a video on it, and it was amazing because I had an issue of back issue that had just come in with one of my orders from Gmart, and it was a back issue magazine from Tomorrow Publishings that talked about 80s miniseries. Maybe I already had it, and I just happened to have it out. Anyway, somewhere around the line, I pulled up a miniseries of the 80s, and it was called Spanner's Galaxy. And I just had issue number 1, and I read it, and I enjoyed it. And then I read the article about it in Back Issue Magazine, and everything that I would have criticized it about was addressed there. It was like, of course, this is Star Wars. This is Star Wars heavily influenced this. They acknowledged it and didn't hide it, and they actually were proud of it. There's basic plot points in this and characterization a little bit where, of course, it's you can tell this is the era of Star Wars. I ended up going back and reading it again, and I cannot tell you why I liked it. The bold colors, the sci-fi feel, the 80s. It felt like a little Ice Pirates. I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. You know, maybe it's where I grew up in that era and stuff, right? So I found one guy who has a few complete sets at Heroes Con. He had a box of complete sets, and of course, it was $24, but he had a 50-cent off sale going on, so it would have been $12 for all 6 issues. I just felt like I could have done better than that, and I think I did. I got issues 3, 4, 5, and 6 for 50 cents a piece. Could not find a number 2. So Spanner's Galaxy, if you just want a fun little romp that is cheap, and it should be cheap, and you were around during the movies like Ice Pirates, and of course the original trilogy of Star Wars, and Atari Force and that kind of thing. This is actually, that first issue was really fun, right? So, of course, there's always those great advertisements for the GoBots on the back of these. You know, we were poor kids, so, you know, I got the Kmart GoBots, can never afford the real Transformers like the kid around the corner. Just filling in. I think I need 1 issue now, and I have a complete run of this Legion book. Started out as Legion 89. Every year they change the year number on there. Keith Giffen, the first 25 are solid reads. Great stuff, right? Now, my official Quasar run series. I mean, that's when you know you're deep in the comics and maybe a geek amongst the geeks, if we want to play around with their words. You know what I'm saying? But I remember in the 90s, it was like Commandy. It was actually kind of, you get a weird look from other comic book collectors if you were a Commandy lover. You know what I mean? Now, there's even a Toy Fair, Toy Theater magazine I have where they're making fun of Thor. A bunch of the comic book characters are, Thor is hanging around with some heroes at a comic book convention, and he's all happy he got some Commandy issues, and the other heroes are making fun of him, right, in the 90s. So I kind of feel like Quasar may have replaced that to a certain extent, you know. But anyway, Quasar, I now have a complete run of Quasar, but on the side, they had a miniseries come out called Star Blast. Quasar went into the new universe. He ended up getting this Star brand, bringing it back to the Marvel universe, and then they had this miniseries. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was an actual official crossover event or what was going on. But all these people, the Imperial Guard, the Shi'ar, everybody wanted the Star brand, and then you got 4-issue miniseries of Star Blast. And I know I have some issues of Quasar where it's a Star Blast crossover. So I had 1 and 4. I have number. These are really nasty bags, so I'm going to hurry and sit them down. So yeah, like that's one of the reasons I kind of like getting dead books and dead universes. Right now, if you're a Steve Gerber fan and you go back and you read a certain issue of Howard the Duck, there were Steve Gerber. I don't know. He had a lot of deadline problems writing Howard the Duck. So there's this one issue where a bunch of artists came in and they each did like 2-page spreads, and Steve Gerber wrote the story prose style to where they could get the issue out and not be late. Right. I actually enjoy, it's actually before knowing that story, it's actually one of my favorite issues of Howard the Duck just because of how different it was. I mean, I remember having issue 2, whatever that issue is, and a few sporadic issues in the Stepdad's collection. So I read Howard the Duck, you know, so, but I knew Howard, but I didn't know it was Steve Gerber. You follow what I'm saying? I didn't know that this was the same guy with these psychedelic Man-Thing books that I was reading every now and then, right? So in the middle of that Howard the Duck story, he mentions this, I don't know what it was, a Las Vegas showgirl with an ostrich, right? It's referenced in there, right? Years later, he goes to, I guess in the 90s, was it 90? I found about this after the fact because I do remember seeing it solicited, but my son was born in 1998. So there's a little air there where the son took precedence over keeping up with comics. What can I say? I mean, But anyway, he took that little reference from that Howard the Duck story and actually made it into a miniseries at Vertigo called Nevada. And it's the Las Vegas showgirl with the ostrich. He did it. Okay. And I'm sure it's where it's a Steve Gerber thing, stuff like that. But I don't run across these very often out in the wild. So when there's a number one, of course I'm getting a number one, right? Now, guys, the way I had these arranged, I'm gonna go ahead and show you like the one that excited me. I actually got this for 50 cents, and it's 5 issues. Like I said, and they were all in the same bag. And I even showed the people they were in the bag together, and it was 5 issues. And they just gave it to me for 50 cents. They included in the 50-cent stuff here, right? But if you were into Valiant back in the days, the proper Valiant, the Jim Shooter years, okay, they would introduce characters, and those Valiant first appearance books would pop. And a lot of the number ones and stuff during that era are still hot books, Harbinger #1, things like that. But this was the first appearance of Master Dark after Bob Hall. I think Bob Hall had took over the book. If not, he was close to taking over the book. And Master Dark, Shadow Man #8, popped there for a while. It was in Wizards top 10 in the magazine for a while, stuff like that. But I ended up finding 5 issues of the first appearance of Master Dark and Shadow Man. Now, granted, and what's really cool is Master Dark's appearance is that he's the negative of, well, no, not the negative. I thought he was. In my mind, he was the negative. But anyway, Master Dark, this is Shadow Man's symbol, man standing in the doorway with his shadow. And that's how Master Dark comes in, standing over him, like the negative of his symbol, his insignia, if you will, right? But if you're a Valiant guy and you were around for Unity and the Jim Shooter years of Shadow Man, this is a cool find. This is a very cool find where you're like, wow, just very cool, right? But I acknowledge, not for everybody. Pre-tongue Venom. Yeah. Oh, locally, Venom is huge. Venom's big in this house. The stepwife and the step kid love the Venom movies, right? Paulo Costa, heard of Spanner's Galaxy. I am curious about it. It's get it for cheap. I mean, I don't think I'm overhyping it, man. If you liked Ice Pirates, the movie Ice Pirates, and a little bit of that, little that kind of cheese. If you've read Atari Force a little bit, it's in that vein. That's what I mean. I'm telling you exactly what it's like, a genre all of its own, 80s sci-fi something. I mean, I need one more word, and we have the genre. I dug it. I mean, that first issue I liked. Now we'll find out about the rest of the series, see if that translates over. But I dug it. It's just a straightforward, story. And guys, let me make sure I'm looking around, making sure I've shown you everything. Yeah. But I probably did this backwards. Maybe I should have saved the trades to last, but it's probably me just worrying about nothing here, right? But we're going to end on a little whimper here when it comes to the comics and stuff. That Rockin' Bullwinkle, after I saw that, I was like completely satisfied, right? So for 50 cents, when I ran across these, I put Night Force back. I put Spitfire and the Troubleshooters back. But there are collectors out there, and I really dig when I run across these guys, because to a certain extent, I'm one, but not as big as they are, because they'll do everything. And I have all of the Defiant comics, and I consider Valiant comics. I want all the Jim Shooter era, which I probably have and haven't checked in a while. Right? Ultraverse, any kind of comic book company that has some kind of continuity and stuff. When they go dead, you can complete. You can get a short box and have the entire universe, one whole comic book company of books there, right? But when I run across those guys, I love them, right? So with me, I think I'm doing this with the New Universe. I already have all the Defiant. New Universe to me was the blueprint for Valiant, and then it was also the blueprint for Defiant comics. Like Jim Shooter kept refining what he was doing. And somebody pointed out in a live show that, or left a comment later on, that it may have actually been, the New Universe may have been the blueprint for the Ultraverse as well. My cats are doing something, and my lizard, it's my bearded dragon. So anyway, I now have to go with my complete set of Star brand, my complete set of Justice. I now have a complete set of DP7. I needed the last issue. And again, DP7 crossed over into Star Brand. Okay. So you see how all these things in my mind work to a certain extent. I'm a Mark Grunwald guy. I might as well just admit it. I mean, you know. And then Psyforce. Okay. I dug Psyforce. I do this every time. Psyforce was so 80s. Uh, they're the same age as I was, and maybe a few kids that were older than me that I hung out with. But when I looked at these kids from Psyforce, man, I'm like, oh my God. And they reminded me of some other book or movie or characters or something, not the Goonies or something. Anyway, but Psyforce after the first year disappeared completely from the newsstand. And, they kind of revamped it a little bit. They canceled half the line and made a big event happen where it was the pit. They blew up Pittsburgh. But anyway, I got a bunch of Psyforce. They remind me of the Forever People a little bit also because they all come together and they make Shehulk. When they all touch, they all have their mental powers. It looks like they got a villain or something in there and stuff, right? But, if you don't remember the New Universe was supposed to be the actual world outside your window. Over 12 issues a year goes by for the characters. They tried to make a month. A month for you is also a month for these characters. They were supposed to age with you. There's Spitfire popping up, Night Mask popping up, and there's the Shehulk. Yeah, but they remind me of the Forever People a little bit, and they were so 80s. The main guy, the main kid in the group, when I saw the book, it blew my mind because I wore the camo pants, the high tops, and a little jacket, and had my mullet, and there he is on the first issue of Psyforce wearing the same thing. Of course, some 13-year-old kid's going to buy those. So anyway, 32 issues of Psyforce. I've got another big chunk gone. 32 issues of DP7 complete. 32 issues of Justice complete. Sporadic issues of the War. They ended it with the War, I think is what they did. 3-issue miniseries after they canceled everything. And what I like about it, and I have a complete set of Starbram that went bi-monthly. So I think it's maybe 18 or 19 issues of that one. And what I loved about it is they joked about it. At the top of it, number 32 and a 32 issue limited series. So, and then they went into the War, 3-issue prestige format, So that's it, guys. It is noon, 12:08 to be exact. We've been together for 2 hours or so. Yes, Paolo. Exactly, man. Ice Pirates is the best Star Wars movie ever. I'm not going to lie. I would like to sit down, each of us have a beer, and watch Ice Pirates. I think I would get a kick out of that. But anyway, thanks for popping in here. Enjoy your Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Everybody that stuck through this whole thing, man. Way to go. Like, subscribe. Let people know we're here. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. If you have a holiday tomorrow for Juneteenth, enjoy it and be excellent to each other. Later, guys.